military industrial.
Unidentified White House aides in the Carter, Reagan, and Bush administrations now are being investigated for using the services of a call boy ring.
Nothing is more stunning than having serial child molester and Speaker of the House in the same sentence.
Hundreds of military employees and contractors who may have bought child pornography online but haven't been prosecuted or even in some cases investigated.
Fresh allegations that TV icon Sir Jimmy Savile abused young girls during his career have emerged today.
I can tell you that the #1 problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be pedophilia.
The topics we'll be covering in this documentary series are incredibly disturbing. They involve human and child sex trafficking at the highest levels of government and entertainment. I'll debunk some information that has circulated and cover what we actually know. I want to stress that I'll not be focusing on the infamous pizza shop, but I'll still cover it. Researching this was gut-wrenching, and I don't blame you for closing out at any time, although our sensibilities may be the reason why this serious issue doesn't get the attention it deserves. Before I begin, I need to clarify that this video will not be making any allegations. Anyone mentioned is presumed innocent until proven guilty. You can interpret any of the information for yourself. If you think there's no basis for these concerns, that's okay. We want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments below. But before you do, all I ask is you watch this video to the very end. If you've looked into PizzaGate in the past, you still might be surprised with what you find in this video. This channel is only looking to start a conversation and shed light on interesting and important topics not covered in the mainstream. All sources will be included in the description. In part 1, I'll be covering the media's reporting on this topic to follow their timeline and then expand on it. All of the lead sentences talking about PizzaGate in the media immediately stress that the story is fake and just a crazy conspiracy theory. They don't even let you discern for yourself. You're immediately told what to believe.
PizzaGate, a fake conspiracy theory that made the rounds during the presidential campaign. Fake news.
PizzaGate conspiracy theory. The son of Michael Flynn spreads fake news about DC pizza. This fake news story, this PizzaGate idea.
PizzaGate, a fake online conspiracy theory suggesting the local pizzeria was at the center of a child sex slave ring.
We're involved in a worldwide pedophilia ring without any evidence whatsoever, again stressing that point.
What again, all of this is not true. These are false accounts.
And when we try to debunk these things now, they don't believe us either.
Even the Wikipedia page starts off by saying that this is a debunked conspiracy theory. 2 articles are commonly cited when declaring that PizzaGate is fake, one by the New York Times and one by Snopes. I'm going to focus on these 2 articles, and I'll display TV icons on the top right to signal what they covered in green and what they didn't cover in red. They make it seem like they debunk and dissect all of the PizzaGate claims, but as you might have guessed, they barely cover anything and misrepresent the entire crowdsourced investigation that was censored off websites like Reddit and threatened the jobs of reporters who dared to cover it. Ironically, PizzaGate, a subreddit that investigates child sex trafficking, was removed before PedoFriends, a subreddit that normalizes pedophilia. And Ben Swann, who works as an anchor for the CBS affiliate in Atlanta, was suspended for 2 weeks for just covering PizzaGate. CBS ended his reality check segment and he was forced to delete all of his social media accounts, as well as cancel his crowd-funded documentary. If you want to see that 5-minute report, I'll include a link in the description. Now, what exactly is PizzaGate? The New York Times article starts off by summarizing what they want you to think PizzaGate is about. They say, a false rumor that Hillary Clinton and her top aides were involved in various crimes snowballed into a wild conspiracy theory that they were running a child trafficking ring out of a Washington pizza parlor. The fast evolution of the false theory revealed how a powerful mix of fake news and social media led an armed North Carolina man to investigate the rumors about the pizza place, Comet Ping Pong, last Sunday. Right from the start, they are practically begging for you not to believe the story. In only 2 sentences, they managed to tell you it was fake 4 times.
Please believe me.
They're also trying to make it seem like researchers were making the claim that they were trafficking children out of the restaurant itself, but responsible researchers who have been investigating this have never made the claim that they're actually trafficking children out of Comet Ping Pong. Even the Pizzagate summary that Snopes marks as the origin of Pizzagate doesn't make any of these allegations. They simply lay out strange emails from Hillary's campaign manager, John Podesta, and his connections to a Washington, D.C. pizza shop called Comet Ping Pong that is shrouded in what they felt were references to pedophilia. Before we go over those connections and strange emails, it's important to understand that these concerns didn't come from their imagination or a single email.
Fuck you, John Podesta.
All right, well, you see where I'm coming from.
Okay, yeah.
When I talk, that's because I'm interested in this ongoing whatever the hell they're doing.
What's in your closet, John Podesta? Big Podesta? Big Soros? Do you want us to play these games? Because we're playing to win.
That was Andrew Breitbart. He helped create the Huffington Post and was an editor for the Drudge Report. He later created his own website, Breitbart.com. He was talking about John Podesta, who was Hillary's campaign manager and is known as Clinton's Fix-It Man, according to a 1989 Washington Post article. He served as chief of staff to President Bill Clinton and was counselor to President Obama. During the last election, he had his email hacked through a phishing scam. Someone sent him a fake Google email requesting for his password, and he fell for it. The content in his emails are what started the Pizzagate investigation. A couple weeks before the video I showed, Breitbart tweeted, "Early on, did John Podesta imagine his baby Media Matters for America would be covering up for underage sex slave operations and hate crimes against blacks?" Then only 2 days later he said, "How progressive guru John Podesta isn't household name as world-class underage sex slave op cover-upper defending unspeakable dregs escapes me." To put this into context, he was talking about the Acorn scandal, where 2 journalists recorded themselves posing as an underage prostitute and a pimp. Acorn was a Democratic lobbying group that did community work in the inner cities and was constantly accused of committing voter fraud. These journalists allegedly recorded what they insist was Acorn employees facilitating an underage sex trade. The tapes were said to have been heavily edited and taken out of context, but Breitbart insisted they weren't. At the time these tweets were sent, Breitbart was stressing that Podesta and Media Matters used their connections throughout media and government to help cover up the scandal. After all, Podesta is known as Mr. Fix-It. But whatever happened to Andrew Breitbart? He died of a heart attack at age 43 on March 1st, 2012. Many till this day suspect foul play. One of the coroner's technicians that allegedly overlooked Breitbart's autopsy died of arsenic poisoning on the day of the official release of Breitbart's preliminary autopsy results. Some Pizzagate researchers saw these tweets as a smoking gun, and while they're not, many still find it interesting that Breitbart specifically targeted Podesta.
What's in your closet, John Podesta?
Pizzagate debunkers have effectively challenged the Breitbart tweets and video. However, they appear to be small anecdotes to the other claims researchers cite to support their more serious concerns over Pizzagate. This is Laura Silsby. She was the former director of the New Life Children's Refuge that claimed to be a non-profit Christian ministry dedicated to rescuing Dominican and Haitian orphans. On January 26, 2010, a Haitian police officer said he stopped Silsby from loading a bus with 40 children near the Dominican Republic consulate in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Then only 3 days later, Silsby was arrested for trafficking another 33 children out of Haiti without documentation. And the worst part is that most of them weren't even orphans. Haitian authorities even considered charging her of kidnapping. WikiLeaks' release of Hillary's emails reveals Silsby was in steady contact with Hillary prior to her arrest, from discussing her organization to even requesting donations from Clinton. Right when Silsby was arrested, Hillary's assistant, Uma Abedin, immediately updated Hillary of Silsby's arrest. And Hillary's attorney and close confidant, Cheryl Mills, was actively aiding in crisis management by being involved in writing press releases about the Silsby story. If that wasn't enough, The Harvard Human Rights Journal stated that one of Bill Clinton's first acts as special envoy for the United Nations in Haiti was to put out a fire of a child abduction scandal involving American citizens. On February 7th, 2010, the Sunday Times reported that Bill Clinton had intervened and was able to strike a deal with the Haitian government, securing the release of all co-conspirators except for Silsby. And just 1 week later, that's exactly what happened. And on February 9th, Hillary Clinton consulted with Counselor Cheryl Mills and other attorneys in an email discussing the US government's options regarding the arrested Americans. Unfortunately, we can't see those options because they're all redacted. So not only was Hillary in contact with Laura Silsby, but she also helped get her off charges of child trafficking and kidnapping. On February 11th, the New York Times reported that Silsby's attorney, Jorge Puello, was suspected of leading a trafficking ring involving Central American and Caribbean women and girls. But a Reuters report shows he was actually suspected of underage sex trafficking. The judge found it strange Puello would show up to court with 4 bodyguards, and looked into Puello after he hired an attorney by the name of Edwin Koch, who was caught trying to bribe Haitian government officials to release the detained Americans. It turns out Puello was never a real attorney, and he was a suspect in a child sex trafficking ring in El Salvador. There's no clear answer as to why Silsby and the families of the detained Americans chose him to represent them. At the time of Puello's arrest, CNN reported that his wife was already in prison in El Salvador and faced charges of presumed sexual exploitation of minors and women. Those charges actually led to a conviction, according to a Miami Herald interview with Puello's mother. Now, you may ask, what ended up happening to Silsby and Puello? Not much. Silsby faced reduced charges of irregular travel and was found guilty and received no jail time. Puello was found guilty of alien smuggling and received a 3-year prison sentence. So in summary, the Clintons were communicating with and working to release from detention an alleged child trafficker who reportedly kidnapped children and had an attorney that was involved in what appears to be child sex trafficking. In part 2 of this documentary series, we'll get into more of the verified and potential child sex trafficking scandals involving the Clintons and other high-level politicians. The Laura Silsby story is actually where the connections to the infamous pizza shop begin. Before we get into those connections, it's important to understand some context. This is James Alefantis. He is a restaurant entrepreneur that owns Comet Ping Pong and Buck's Fishing and Camping, located in Washington, D.C. GQ magazine strangely lists Alefantis as the 49th most powerful person in the nation's capital. He is close to Hillary's former campaign chairman, John Podesta, and his brother, Tony Podesta. According to Washington Life magazine, Tony Podesta regularly opens his house to casual pizza parties co-hosted by his friend, James Alefantis, the owner of Comet Ping Pong. Alefantis has held many fundraisers for the Democratic Party, including one for Hillary's 2008 campaign that was organized by both of the Podestas. So Alefantis is clearly well connected and is close to Hillary's inner circle, even though reportedly they have never met. This is Alefantis' former boyfriend, David Brock. Brock owns Media Matters for America and Correct the Record, which are 2 of the largest Democratic media organizations and hold a lot of influence throughout mainstream media. And like we've mentioned before in this channel, Brock worked very closely with Hillary's campaign, and the New York Times describes Correct the Record as Hillary's personal media watchdog. In January 2011, David Brock was caught in a fiery legal battle with William Gray, his former lover of 10 years, and James Alefantis was caught in the middle of it. The attorney that represented both Alefantis and Brock was Max Maccoby. According to Maccoby's bio and his law firm's website, he sits on the board of directors for the Friends of the Orphans, which is an orphanage in Haiti. And here's where the Silsby story and Alefantis connect. In a Fox News interview with Silsby's fake attorney, Jorge Puello, Greta Van Susteren asked Puello where Silsby found the kids. He said there was an orphanage that collapsed in Haiti. It was called Friends of the Orphans of Haiti, and there was somebody over there that told them that the orphans had no place, no room to place them. So Alefantis' attorney, Max Maccoby, is directly connected to the Silsby child trafficking scandal. Max's father, Michael Maccoby, has also defended James Alefantis in the past when a DC official, Frank Weinstead, accused Alefantis of trying to turn the neighborhood into a haven of rape and murder when he tried to extend his hours. This audio clip, provided by the Washington Post, shows Michael Maccoby saying he is willing to take down anyone who opposes James in this matter.
James is trying to do, it would be an outrage and a serious detriment, and it's inexplicable, and I would personally seek to remove the individuals who attempt to stop.
Michael Maccoby is a member of the board of the Albert Shanker Institute, and he coaches leaders at Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos, homes for orphaned and abandoned children in Central American countries, including El Salvador and Haiti, which works in tandem with Friends of the Orphans. As you can see in the Friends of the Orphans website, it clearly states that Friends of the Orphans is the American fundraising organization for Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos International, a group of orphanages in 9 countries throughout Central America. He also runs the Maccoby Group, which is blocks away from Comet Ping Pong. Michael has 3 kids, Max Maccoby, Nora Maccoby, and Izette Folger. Alefantis is connected to the whole family, and seems to be close with Izette Folger, who he's pictured with in many gala pictures, and she comments on many of Alefantis' Instagram posts. Izette Folger is also on the advisory board of a non-profit that fights against child exploitation and human trafficking. According to researchers, the close proximity and connections with all of these places is significant. Nora Maccoby was interviewed on a YouTube channel called LipTV. The link will be provided in the description. Take a look at what she had to say.
So I grew up in DC, which in a neighborhood that was pretty much 80% CIA operatives. J. Edgar Hoover lived up the road with his boyfriend. We had a Czechoslovakian safe house on the corner where these guys would mow the lawn at midnight with black socks to their knees.
So Nora said the neighborhood she grew up in was 80% filled with CIA operatives. She also said she even lived down the street from J. Edgar Hoover, who was the first director of the FBI. According to the Washington Post, 4936 30th Place was J. Edgar Hoover's address, and it's down the street from the Maccoby Group. In the audio tapes provided by the Washington Post, Nora's brother, Max Maccoby, said he grew up in the exact address the Maccoby Group is located in.
I grew up on Lydian Avenue. I've been here since 1970. I went to Merge Elementary School. I remember when Myers was here.
So I have to stop you for 1 minute. You need to identify yourself.
Max would be 4825 Lydian Avenue.
Thank you. Thank you.
Given Max's statement and the proximity of Hoover's old house, we can safely assume this is the neighborhood that Nora grew up in. The same neighborhood she says was a CIA hive, and the same neighborhood Alefantis' businesses are located in. Of course, that is just Nora's account, and she could very well be exaggerating, even though she insists she isn't.
And most of their parents were literally operatives. And I thought I had remembered it sort of extremely, but I just saw an old friend of mine, and he was like, no. Our dad taught us how to make guns and make Molotov cocktails, and they would blow them up in embassy driveways for fun.
If what she says is true, then it may explain why Alefantis has such overwhelming community support. The first Pizzagate claim the New York Times brings up is Podesta's handkerchief email. It says, the realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. Is it yours? They can send it if you want. I know you're busy, so feel free not to respond if it's not yours or you don't want it. New York Times didn't really care to debunk anything here, or dissect the claim for that matter. They just stated the email, quote, led to speculation that the handkerchief and map on it were clues of some sort of wrongdoing, end quote. The Snopes article cites a Washington Post article that explained it by only saying the answer to any reasonable person would be that Podesta eats pizza sometimes, but that debunking is kind of a reach, considering that the email still wouldn't make much sense. Strangely, we don't have any mainstream media outlet asking John Podesta what it meant, and he hasn't gone on record to clarify. The handkerchief email was sent to John Podesta by Susan Sandler, who was told by a realtor that she found a black and white handkerchief. Pizzagate researchers indicate that this could be some sort of handkerchief code. After all, a gay handkerchief code that uses colored handkerchiefs as markers to indicate sexual preferences actually exists. In this case, a black and white handkerchief would mean safe sex. But the red flags researchers have raised are when Susan adds that the handkerchief has a map that seems pizza-related. Researchers have revealed that MAP could be an acronym that stands for Minor Attracted Persons, or in other words, pedophile. MAP is a well-known term in pro-pedophilia websites. Researchers have also pointed to pizza being used as a code word for child porn. Many have falsely cited the code words as coming from the FBI, when in reality it was claimed by a random 4chan user that these code words were used by child pornographers online. Although there is a strong record of cheese pizza being used as code for child porn. Countless message boards well before Pizzagate show people warning other users to stay away from any links that reference cheese pizza or pizza. In 2012, this user says, cough, Tor browser, cough, cheese pizza, cough. That means child pornography. Well, you guys get the idea. The other code words that come from this random 4chan post don't hold up well to scrutiny, and many consider it debunked. But there's no denying that cheese pizza is code for child pornography in the dark web, well before Pizzagate. Snopes or the New York Times don't really care to mention the other emails researchers pointed to, like this pool party invitation from Hillary's ex-chief of staff, Tamara Lozado, to John Podesta saying, "We plan to heat the pool, so swim is a possibility. Bonnie will be Uber service to transport Ruby Emerson and Maeve Lozado, 11, 9, and almost 7, so you'll have some further entertainment, and they'll be in that pool for sure." Researchers found it strange that they explicitly state the ages of these children and saying they will be in the pool offering further entertainment, as well as stressing that they will definitely be in the pool. That could just be a poor choice of words, trying to joke about how much of a handful the kids are, but it is oddly specific. Lozado tends to not choose her words correctly, like in her blog called Evie's Crib. The headline of the blog says, "Evelyn is growing up. Soon she'll be the queen of the entire US of A. Right now, for a limited time only, you can spend some time with her online, raw and uncut." Again, it could just be a joke, but it still seems like a poor choice of words to say you can spend time with a baby raw and uncut. She also links to a different blog called Jack's Place. In one of the posts, she says, "Jack is owned by Ken Weber and Stephanie Copeland." When you go into the blog, you find a post called Naked Time, and it shows a censored version of a naked baby. But when you look at the caption, it says unrated version of this photo, available only to premium subscribers, with a winky face. Many found that strange, but I guess it could just be a joke. People speculated that maybe these blogs can be a way of selling child pornography, but there's no evidence of that except these strange blog posts. Another Podesta email is this one, where Tony Podesta asks his brother John Podesta if he would like to get a pizza for an hour. Researchers thought it was strange that they'd be getting pizza for such a specific amount of time. In prostitution, they usually charge for a half an hour or an hour. Not that I would know, I just heard in movies and stuff. And given the code word cheese pizza meaning child pornography, researchers felt this could be code for child sex trafficking. But it's important to note the context of that email. Both brothers were trying to find time to meet each other, so in a way it could make sense for them to designate a specific amount of time for that. There are many more emails, but the last one I'll mention is this one that says, "As John said, it doesn't get any better than this." And attached to the email, there's this picture of two women feeding a girl pizza. Now, there's no context here, so it's hard to say exactly what he's referring to, but still strange nonetheless. Along with the code words, researchers also referenced symbols pedophiles used that were unclassified by the FBI in 2007 and released by WikiLeaks. According to the FBI document, pedophiles, to include those who sexually abuse children as well as those who produce, distribute, and trade child pornography, are using various types of identification logos or symbols to recognize one another and distinguish their sexual preferences. The New York Times article said, conspiracy theorists claim that other design elements used by businesses near the Comic Ping Pong restaurant also resembled pedophile symbols. And they debunk it by saying corporate logos bear the same resemblance. Now, we'll get to the comparisons in a second. It's kind of hard to figure out what they're trying to debunk here. These are well-known pedo symbols that have been confirmed by the FBI and even covered in local news reports.
Tonight, a seedy secret language used by pedophiles. So how in the world did it end up on a souvenir toy sold at Monster Jam races?
And even the New York Times covered the pedo symbols in an article they wrote in 2006 titled, "On the Web, Pedophiles Extend Their Reach." Besta Pizza is only 2 doors down from Comet Ping Pong and displays a logo that is practically identical to the Boy Lover logo in the FBI document. If you remove the added design of the dots and the cheese, it's the same Boy Lover emblem. However, the New York Times debunks it by saying that it looks like the corporate AOL logo. Some would say that is a pretty weak debunking. Besta Pizza removed the Boy Lover emblem from their logo right after Pizzagate became popular, as you can see from the upload date of the new logo on their Yelp page, the poor Photoshop job, and the old logo that is still displayed at the shop. The Terrasol Bistro, which is right across the street from Comet Ping Pong, had a similar logo to the Girl Lover logo in their website. They have also removed that logo since. To debunk this, the New York Times said the Walls logo looks similar, which it does. I wasn't able to find any Pizzagate researchers that compared the Comet Ping Pong logo with the Little Boy Lover logo, so as far as I know, the New York Times invented that Pizzagate claim. The Play Eat Drink logo in the Comet Ping Pong menu was said to resemble the Child Lover logo from the FBI document. If you turn Play Eat Drink into an acronym, it is PED, which can be short for pedo or pedophile. The New York Times debunked it by saying the MSN logo bared the same resemblance. The truth is, researchers mainly focused on the Boy Lover logo and the Little Boy Lover logo. These logos have been used for quite some time by pedophiles, as you've seen from the 2007 FBI report. The first season of the show True Detective, that aired in 2014, also shows the Little Boy Lover logo many times throughout the season, and even in the promotional poster art. The entire first season is about satanic human sacrifice and child sex trafficking. The season's plot is inspired by a true story that I'll cover in part 2. True Detective was clearly using a variation of the Little Boy Lover logo to symbolize pedophilia, so it's not really just a random logo, and it definitely doesn't resemble the AOL logo as New York Times suggests. If we see it only once, then it may just be a coincidence, but the issue here is that the logo seems to appear many times within Comet Ping Pong and Podesta's inner circle. Comet Ping Pong frequently hosts many bands, and they're all advertised as kid-friendly when they're really not. A band called Sex Stains, who frequently performs at Comet Ping Pong, has what appears to be the Boy Lover logo displayed in one of their music videos. An inverted version of the Little Boy Lover logo also appears in a band art poster that was uploaded to Comet Ping Pong Facebook page on June 1st, 2016. The art posters are all created by Comet Ping Pong under the direction of their band booker, Sasha Lord. It's also interesting to note that the band Heavy Breathing, that also frequently performs at Comet Ping Pong, has made jokes of pedophilia in their music videos, and in private recordings of live performances that I can't show due to copyright infringement. This email between John Podesta and Tony Podesta shows they both attended a poetry reading by someone named Rachel Rose. In her YouTube channel, Rachel Rose Writes. There are 2 videos that have this intro, and they both show this close-up of a man wearing what looks like a Little Boy Lover ring. And we know from the FBI report that FBI investigations in several cities have uncovered several symbols used by pedophiles to proclaim their attraction to children. And these symbols have been etched into rings and formed into pendants. The New York Times also points out a Pizzagate claim about the Comet Ping Pong storefront sign showing satanic symbolism. Some researchers felt like the star and crescent moon resembled the star and crescent moons depicted in the image of the Baphomet. Researchers have also looked at the possible connections to Satanism, Luciferianism, and other cult belief systems. Confirmed child sex trafficking rings in the past have been involved in occult ritualistic practices, which I'll go over in part 2 of this documentary. Members in pedophilic societies tend to gravitate towards occult belief systems, like Satanism and Luciferianism, due to the suspension of morality and sin. They don't want to feel like their sexual attraction to children is wrong, despite the majority looking down on them. They want to feel free of remorse. And that's what the Baphomet largely signifies. This popular illustration of the Baphomet was drawn in 1856 by French occultist Eliphas Levi in his book Transcendental Magic, Its Doctrine and Ritual. The Baphomet is meant to embody opposites and celebrate contrasts. The figure is both male and female, part animal, part human, points above to a light crescent moon and below to a dark crescent moon, and bears the Latin words solve, meaning separate, and coagula, meaning join together. The figure also has angelic wings and a demonic goat head with horns. The pentagram, or star, symbolizes the convergence of all of these polar opposites. The main tenet this figure is trying to express is that there's no wrong and no right. It is a testament of free will. But does Alephantis subscribe to occult beliefs like these? Researchers have presented what they feel is evidence that he might. If we refer back to the comet sign, we can see the top left is white and the bottom right is a solid black. The top right and bottom left also have contrasting colors, and they all have a star in the middle, signifying the convergence of opposites. Of course, this is just speculation, but there actually is a slightly stronger connection to the occult here. Researchers point to Alephantis' affiliation with the Washington Waldorf School. The Waldorf curriculum has been widely criticized for quite some time now as being intrinsically and inseparably based upon anthroposophy, which is strongly tied to occult doctrine. A 1999 W&D article details Waldorf schools using the Waldorf Teacher's Survival Guide as one of its source materials for training or instruction in Waldorf teaching methods or Waldorf curriculum. The 67-page pamphlet was published in 1999 by Eugene Schwartz, and on page 54 it says, "Most of that which contributes to our work as teachers, preparation work, artistic work, and even meditative work, is under the guardianship of Lucifer. We can become great teachers under his supervision, for he is responsible for much that has blossomed in the unfolding of civilization and culture in the past." In anthroposophical doctrine, developed by Rudolf Steiner, Lucifer is the god of light. His antagonist is Ahriman, the god of darkness. To balance these two opposing forces, Christ comes to earth as a sun god. So anthroposophy carries the same principle depicted in the illustration of the Baphomet. Researchers found that Comet Ping Pong donated to the Washington Waldorf School and has even hosted their alumni meetings at Comet Ping Pong for the past 3 years. Researchers also point out the possible 666 hidden in the Washington Waldorf School logo. Both of the Podestas also seem to have a strong connection to occult practices. WikiLeaks emails reveal that they were invited by Marina Abramovich to attend a private spirit cooking dinner at her apartment. The email from Marina Abramovich says, "Dear Tony, I am so looking forward to the spirit cooking dinner at my place. Do you think you'll be able to let me know if your brother is joining? All love, Marina." Tony then asked John, "Are you in NYC Thursday, July 9th? Marina wants you to come to dinner." Marina Abramovich is a performance artist that has work that is clearly inspired by the occult and has connections to well-known celebrities like Lady Gaga, Jay-Z, Will Ferrell, and Robert De Niro. Even Anthony Weiner, the disgraced former congressman who sexted a 15-year-old, is a fan of hers. And James Alefantis also posted a picture of Marina in his Instagram account. Marina's spirit cooking performance bears a strong resemblance to a sacrament in the religion of Thelema, which was founded by Aleister Crowley, who was known as the wickedest man in the world and a Satanist. In spirit cooking, Marina uses pig's blood, which most resembles human blood, as a medium to connect the spirit world with the material world. The ritual takes place in the kitchen, which is considered the heart of the home. The goal of the ceremony is to convert matter into energy so spirits can feed on it. Marina derives her inspiration from the popular belief that spirits still need food, even though it is no longer solid, but in the form of light, sound, and emotions. In the video dated from 1997 called Spirit Cooking, Marina is seen writing in blood various statements including "mix fresh breast milk with fresh sperm," "fresh morning urine sprinkle over nightmare dreams," and "with a sharp knife, cut deeply into your middle finger, eat the pain." The video shows spirit cooking appearing to be a combination of an artistic performance and an occult ceremony. Abramovich responded to PizzaGate researchers by saying that the spirit cooking is just art. She told The Guardian, "I'm outraged because this is taken completely out of my context. It was just a normal dinner. It was actually just a normal menu, which I call spirit cooking. There was no blood, no anything else. We just call things funny names, that's all." But that contradicts what Marina has said in the past, like this AMA on Reddit where her fans can ask her anything. This user asked Marina, "What place do you see a cult having within contemporary art? Can magic be made, not simply appropriated, performed?" She responds, "Everything depends on which context you are doing what you are doing. If you are doing the occult magic in the context of art or in a gallery, then it is just art. If you are doing it in a different context, in spiritual circles or private house or on TV shows, it is not art. The intention, the context for what is made, and where it is made defines what art is or not." Maybe that's just an attempt at Marina being deep and artsy in order to promote herself. After all, the Podestas are fascinated by art that could be considered rather morbid, like this painting John Podesta has in his office depicting cannibalism. Marina also displays ritualistic cannibalism in her art. And Tony Podesta is well known for the edgy art pieces he has in his art collection, including this strange painting. Tony also has the artwork from Serbian artist Biljana Đurđević displayed throughout his home, like this painting of lifeless children laying in a pool, and pond grass, and one lifeless child sitting on a stool. The artist has more disturbing artwork not owned by Podesta showing the torture of children. And in this 2004 Washington Post article titled "Married with Art," Tony Podesta is a big fan of the Dutch artist Margie Greerlinks. It says, "The pictures ringing Tony's 9th floor office at Podesta Mattoon deliver an unusual welcome. A suite of arresting computer-manipulated photographs by Dutch artist Margie Greerlinks serves as a cautionary tale of genetic engineering. One shows a boy seemingly born from a sewing machine. Another finds a young girl knitting her own hair. A third has a naked woman immersed in blood-red liquid." Now, I can't really show you any more of her artwork since it's literally naked children. If you do a quick Google search of her name, you immediately see that. The New York Times also doesn't mention the close relationship the Podestas have with Dennis Hastert. Hastert was the 51st Speaker of the United States House of Representatives from 1999 to 2007. In 2015, Hastert pled guilty to federal criminal charges of structuring financial transactions to conceal payments to a man whom he had sexually abused decades earlier, when Hastert worked as a high school wrestling coach.
He abused at least 5 boys when he was their wrestling coach. He had a reclining chair set up in front of the shower so he could watch them take showers.
When the FBI began investigating Hastert, an associate emailed John Podesta saying, "Might be time for Denny to vanish to an undisclosed Japanese island." Another WikiLeaks email revealed how long the Podestas have been closely associated with Dennis Hastert, dating back to over 50 years when Tony went on a Japanese camping trip with him. In 2016, Hastert admitted that he had regularly molested boys, but he could not be criminally charged for these acts due to the statute of limitations expiring. Moving on in the New York Times article, we see an Instagram post from James Alefantis' Instagram that they debunk. PizzaGate researchers thought it was Alefantis wearing a J'aime l'enfant shirt, which according to Google can translate in French to "I love child." The New York Times identified this man as the owner of a French cafe named L'Enfant Café and Bar, and the cafe is supposedly named after an American colonist from France named Pierre-Charles L'Enfant. Snopes or the New York Times didn't care to mention the other concerns PizzaGate researchers had regarding Alefantis' Instagram posts. For starters, Alefantis' profile picture shows the bust of Antinous, who was the lover of the Roman Emperor Hadrian. Antinous is a deified Greek figure whose sculptures, according to historian Royston Lampert, are known as the most elevated and ideal monuments to pederastic, meaning pedophilic, love of the whole ancient world. So James Alefantis' profile picture is the sculpture of a Greek deity that represents pedophilia. And out of all the many strange publicly available Instagram posts on Alefantis' account, which include a child taped to a table, a baby with money in its mouth, and jokes about selling German babies, the one that caught my eye was the chicken lover post. Chicken lover is defined as an adult male homosexual sexually attracted to underage males. That definition was submitted on December 27th, 2004, so it's well before Pizzagate. You can also see that chicken hawk is a synonym, and if we look back at the hanky code, gay men that wear a Cupid doll use it as code for boy lover. And that's not just from one website. The Cupid doll is unanimously considered code for chicken hawk, or a pedophile attracted to boys. A 1998 South Park episode also alluded to child molestation in their chicken lover episode. So it's very strange that Alefantis would use the hashtag chicken lover to refer to this man hugging this boy. Mainstream journalists and news anchors weren't the only ones frantically trying to discredit Pizzagate. We also saw entertainers and talk show hosts like Stephen Colbert aggressively trying to discredit Pizzagate researchers. Take a look.
Pizzagate. People actually believe a conspiracy theory that Hillary Clinton and her former campaign manager, John Podesta, ran a child sex ring at a pizzeria in D.C. This is a lie.
Should we trust Colbert, or is there a conflict of interest here? He actually is very close to the Podestas. His sister ran for Congress in 2013 and received campaign funding from the Podestas. They even organized a fundraiser for her. So his targeted attack against Pizzagate is to defend his friends, and it just goes to show the sort of influence the Podestas have throughout media and political circles. As you've seen throughout this documentary, the media is nitpicking the most outlandish and fringe Pizzagate claims and making them appear as if they fully cover and represent an ongoing crowdsourced investigation. And by doing that, they're either purposefully or inadvertently protecting potential child sex traffickers as if they have some sort of conflict of interest. But, as many STEM majors know, correlation doesn't always equal causation. And while there are many strange coincidences and connections, James Alefantis, the Podestas, the Maccobys, and others that have been listed in this documentary should be treated as innocent until proven guilty. After all, it would be horrible to falsely accuse someone of such a heinous crime. But that doesn't mean the public shouldn't be allowed to exercise their First Amendment rights and responsibly research and report on a topic that's far from debunked. Whether you believe in what started Pizzagate or not, that doesn't really matter. The movement has expanded from that and targeted their focus towards the highest levels of verified organized child sex trafficking that I'll cover in part 2 of this documentary. If you enjoyed part 1 of 3, then please like it, share, and subscribe for more videos that go beyond the mainstream.